You might think you're making choices freely, but the truth is, most of the time, you're not. Let me explain. The world has trained us to decide through identity. Most of the choices you think you've made in life were never really yours. They were made by the identity the world gave us. And that's the part that's hard to accept because that's what we call freedom most of the time. It's just our conditioning coming through as choice. Who you think you are, who you think you need to be, who the world tells us to be. And these invisible strings, they control everything from the smallest decisions we have to make to the biggest ones. Most people will never see this in their lifetime. The choices you think are yours, the ones you agonize over, it's like peeling back an onion and still coming up with the same thing, still seeing the same thing. Those choices that we agonize over are often made by the identity the world has built inside of you. But awakening changes everything. It doesn't change the world, but it changes how you see the world. And in that clarity, choice isn't about what the world wants from us. It's about what your soul knows is true. And it's funny, if this is your first time watching me or listening to me, there's probably some identifying happening before you even hear what I have to say. And I say this to reveal how much we are conditioned to identify before we make a choice. Even here on the platform, in the sea of endless information, attention itself is something many are fighting for. And yes, you get to choose what you focus on, but where are you choosing from? Is it coming from identity? And if it is that really the right way to choose or the right place to choose from? Can I talk to you a little bit about identity and how it silently guides your life? It's subtle. It's like strings on a puppet. They're very vague. You think you're choosing what's right, but what you're really doing is choosing through identity. Every decision you make, from what to eat, to what career to pursue, to who you allow into your life, who are your friends, who you become friends with, is filtered through the story you've told yourself about who you are. Your identity becomes the lens through which the world feels real and tangible. And that lens convinces you that if you make the wrong choice, something terrible will happen to you. Maybe that's a little dramatic. It convinces you that you won't survive in the world if you make certain decisions. But here's the deeper truth. The choice itself isn't what matters most. Choice is always present, always. What matters is from where you choose, if that makes sense. Do you choose from ego? Do you choose from fear? From the story of who you think you are? Or do you choose from presence, from your true self? Awakening changes this. Awakening doesn't change the world, the chaos, the rules, the control. It all remains the same. I would even add that over decades, it has increased. As technology increases, problems comes with that. What changes in awakening is your perception, the place you're seen from. You start to see the illusion, the little strings attached to the puppets. I don't know why I keep seeing that. And the illusion is everywhere. Politics, social expectations, what's normal and what isn't, what's right, what's wrong, even what we've heard from our maybe opinionated friends and families, all designed to tell you who to be, what to want, and how to choose. You realize the world constantly tries to confine you within identities. And when you awaken, you begin to feel isolated because others are still blind to what you see. Maybe you can relate. And this makes you feel misunderstood. Everything that once motivated you seems vain. The movement, the hustle, the striving. It all looks like vanity, like nothing really matters. Most people don't survive this stage of awakening because suddenly there's nothing to hold on to, not even belief. That's what it really means to truly let go. There's nothing to hold on to. Everything you were conditioned to believe, suddenly you see it. And when that crumbles, motivation fades. Some feel lost. It's the weight of seeing the illusion for the first time. We've been taught to build our foundation outside of ourselves, in people, in achievements, in ideas, in creativity. And there's nothing wrong with those things. But the illusion is believing they're the source of who you are, if that makes sense. The raw truth is everything you've been looking for is already within you. But now you see the world for what it is, an illusion created, designed to keep you chasing a version of yourself that isn't real. The world tells you you have a choice, and then it tells you you have no choice. And in between, you think you're deciding freely. But freedom isn't about making decisions the world approves of, because that's the whole truth. They want you to make decisions based on their approval. But it's about choosing from a deeper knowing. Even something as simple as Me going to the market and picking up fruits is influenced by identity. I'm obviously going to look at the fruit and pick it. If a fruit is battered, I'm not going to pick it. But I'm talking about what is influenced by the world, influenced through the world's perspective. This is good. This is bad. There was a time when they said that butter is no good for you. So they then started creating different versions of butter, real butter, imitation. Yeah. And then they came back again and said, butter is actually better for you. But if you listen to your intuition, if you bring your attention to presence, choice becomes different. It becomes aligned with truth, not opinion, not expectation, not fear. True choice doesn't come from avoiding risk. If that was the case, I would not be here in front of you, being fully transparent. It comes from seeing the illusion and understanding that everything you've been conditioned to believe is optional. The only requirement is that you remain present in your own life. That's why we often hear the phrase, to thine own self be true. Your only responsibility is to know yourself and know it fully. And here's the main part. You can be grounded. You can meditate. You can read all the books that helps us. You can congregate. But if we aren't present in the moment, identity will sneak back in to our choices. And suddenly you're making a decision based on past patterns, fear, the you used to be. Yeah, I can relate. Awakening isn't a destination, it's becoming. No perfection here. It's becoming. It's an ongoing desire for truth, for wholeness, to recognize your true nature and allow your choices to come from that space. And yes, the ego will always pay us a visit. It will try to pull us back into the old story, into identity. But the more you practice presence, the more effortless it becomes to choose from truth rather than fear. And I say practice presence, but I don't want to leave this feeling that presence itself is practice. Presence is when you become more aware, then you'll recognize that presence is being. I'm still learning, discovering maybe, recognizing, understanding. After awakening, there's a sense of isolation because many are still asleep in the illusion. Others don't see what you see. They don't understand why you move differently now, why you prioritize differently, why the world suddenly feels meaningless to you, just full of noise and chaos. And this is okay. Solitude isn't a punishment. You know, the world teaches that. Remember, if you got punished, you would be sent into isolation. The world teaches that solitude is punishment. But solitude is a space to go within. It's an opportunity to see yourself from the illusion, to let your choices reflect your true self instead of the version the world wants you to be. Wisdom, wisdom. Wisdom often comes with grief. The grief of realizing how much of life is shaped by illusions. When I say illusions, the world offers us illusions because they're temporary. They're not sustainable. They're not real, so they fade after a while. And that's how the world keeps you chasing. You accomplish, or you have the opportunity to experience this one thing, and then that fades, and then you're on to the next. There's nothing wrong with experiencing, but maybe this whole sitting is just about where you're experiencing from. Is it from identity or from your true self? And that's how the world brings this illusion and offers it to us. How many choices were truly never yours? How many desires were planted by someone else's identity or beliefs? But this grief in knowing and becoming more aware, the grief that comes with wisdom, this grief is also liberation. I can describe it as there's this fearfulness that is the beginning of wisdom. It's not an ego-based fear. It's this fearfulness within that is the beginning of wisdom. Because now you see the patterns, maybe the pattern planted by past generations, the stories that you've been holding on to, the discrimination that comes with the world, all the isms, the invisible hands trying to stare you. There goes the puppet thing again. And in this awareness, you realize that choice is always present, always. Not outside of you, but within. So if I should leave you with one thing, it's this: be present with your choices. Even if you seek guidance outside of yourself, ultimately the decision is yours to make. Don't let identity dictate who you should be or what you should want. The world will always offer illusions. And again, when I say illusion, I mean something temporary. And that will always have us chasing. But within you, within presence, that is where clarity lives. Choice is always here. The question is, from where will you choose? Thank you so much for sitting with me today. Please leave a heart emoji in the comment. I love to see it. Brings a certain atmosphere to the space when I see the hearts. And if you have a comment, if something resonates, leave that as well. And much love to you all over the earth, on your journey of becoming.